I had just really taken a deep look at what I wanted my life to look at as part of that retreat. And I came to the conclusion that it was like, I don't have to do things the way that I should or that people say we're supposed to. I can create my life to be whatever I want it to be. And I want a life where I get to travel and experience and not be held down by one-on-one sessions every week. That's not what I want to do anymore.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I'm super excited today to have Gabrielle Giuliano Villani here with us. I don't even know. I call her Gabby. She's one of my business besties. I love her. There's so many actual things that we could talk about today. We probably need like 3 different episodes, but I want to dive in and talk about her life, her business, and her entrepreneurship, but also how she's integrated that into traveling in her life. So Gabby, I would love to turn it over to you and have you let everybody know, like, how did you go from being just a traditional therapist to a traveling therapist?
Yay! I'm so excited we're finally doing this.
I know. Every time we see each other, we're like, hey, we need to do a podcast episode.
We made it. We finally did it. We need like 3 episodes, but
seriously.
I guess how it started was, I love to travel, and I always, when I talk about this, it's so funny now because I really used to have a different way of thinking and a different mindset. And I was always like, I can't do that. I can't do this because I'm a therapist. I have to be here and see my clients in person. And I just was very narrow-minded. And I did always kind of have this dream though. Like I started hearing about digital nomads even before COVID. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I would love to do that, but I can't because I'm a therapist and I have to be here. And COVID, so many bad things happened clearly, especially even to me personally, but there were also some good things that happened. And one of the silver linings was that my Medicare group practice pivoted to telehealth. And so once we were seeing everybody virtually and all of my clinicians were seeing everybody virtually, I was like, well, why not? Like now's the time to move, And even then, I think that's when the shift in my mindset started or in my thinking, because I was like, well, even if it doesn't work out, then I'll just start a practice in Florida or I'll find different clients. Like I'll be able to do it. I'll be okay. So I left all my clinicians and my clients in Colorado and I moved to Sarasota where my parents live, and we're 20 minutes from the beach, which it's always been my goal to live closer to the beach. And here I am.
Yay. It's amazing. And your practice, particularly was, probably a tough transition because it was like in-home, right? It was like Medicare in-home services, right?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that really big piece. So
because that's like, holy crap, how do you go from that to telehealth? That's a big deal. And with Medicare rules and regulations. Yeah, right.
And by the way, my birthday is March 13th, and that's when they announced the public health emergency.
Oh my God.
And I was in Key West for my birthday, and all my clinicians are texting me and they're like, what are we supposed to do? And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sipping champagne in Key West.
Exactly. So that was just a memory that is burned into my mind. And I remember, there were still so many unknowns, and like getting on the plane back home, like all my friends are texting me too, like you're going to get stuck down there, which I was like, whatever, it'll be fine.
Yeah. It's okay. I want to be down here.
Exactly, this is where I want to be. But I mean, I was on the plane and like there were no masks or anything. And I was like, am I going to get COVID and die, first of all? And second
Hmm.
of all,
Hmm.
how am I going to do this? Our clients don't do telehealth. They're all elderly and they don't have
Yeah.
computers. Like, how? How are we going to figure this out?
Oh
But
my
I
gosh.
mean, I did it and I managed and I got home and in one weekend, I put it all together. I put all of my new disclosures together
Wow.
and we had a plan in place and Medicare wasn't covering telehealth either at this point. And I was
Hmm.
like, I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm going to. I just
Yeah.
told my clinicians, I was like, just do it and we'll figure it out later because we need to,
Well, yeah, and that's what I talk about that a lot on here sometimes is with insurance. It's like if a client's in another state and they're in a crisis, you're not licensed in that state, what are you supposed to do?
yeah,
Like sometimes, ethically you need to still see your client, and
exactly.
hope there's no repercussions, but especially with that because it was so unprecedented, it was like what are you supposed to do? And Medicare had all those regulations around, like
Yes.
they had to go to like an originating site if they wanted to
Yes.
see the clinician, and it had to be like an approved, site. I mean, it was just a nightmare. There was no billing. There's still no billing for Medicare
I
for
know.
telehealth, really.
Yep. I was like, just call your clients on the phone and we'll figure it out later because, of course, our clients, same thing ethically, they're freaking out. They're like,
Hmm.
we're on lockdown in our assisted living and I have nobody to talk to. And you're going to say you can't talk to me. Now I have nobody. So we just did it. And you know what? It turned out fine.
Yeah, it did. So did you guys like help them with the technology? I'm so curious about this. Did you like try to teach them the technology, or was it more like speakerphone or something,
We
with the
did
clients?
try to teach them the technology. So
Hmm.
that's, kind of a fun part of working with older adults.
Oh my God. I don't work with that many older adults, but I do have to deal with my dad on a regular basis. And I mean, I can't handle it for like 2 minutes. So I can't even imagine like what that was like. Oh my
One of
gosh.
my clinicians, they found a really good YouTube tutorial about
Oh
how to
wow.
use Zoom. So we sent that to a lot of people who were able to do it. But again, there's a lot of people that they don't have a computer. They're like a lot of them
Hmm.
had low vision.
Hmm.
They're in a facility where, maybe there's just one shared computer. So we do a lot of phone sessions, or we did a
Hmm.
lot of phone sessions, and they were there's always the piece of like, obviously it needs to be clinically appropriate, but for the most
Right.
part, they're just as successful as face to face.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, we're totally off topic now, but phone sessions have been allowed. Phone sessions have been allowed, but on May 11th, I guess all that's ending, like the ability to use FaceTime and phone sessions, unless your licensing board allows you to use that mode of communication. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I think it's really a good topic, especially for like new traveling therapists, because you do want to consider the type of population you want to work with.
Hmm.
If you're going to be all telehealth and potentially have like, connection issues, you may not want to work with like the elderly population,
Yeah.
if that's the type of life you want to live, you know?
Yep. Something
So
to consider for sure.
definitely. So, okay. So tell us a little bit more. So, because there's so many cool things that you've done in that time period. So you moved to Sarasota and then what happened? Maybe you could just tell them a little bit about that.
Kim is leading the witness. So there
I
was
just
a really
love this
big thing
story.
that happened. Well, I sold my group practice,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest thing that happened with moving here. But yeah, I'm so, again, grateful to telehealth because that's what allowed me to do it. We were just growing so much and so quickly,
Hmm.
and allowed me to build something that I never thought I'd be able to do. We had seven figures in revenue. And
Wow.
yeah, like I don't know, get like
Yeah.
kind of emotional when I think about it because that is not the messaging that was given to me in my life.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
as a social worker, it was like, you should be grateful if you make 40 grand.
Right.
And I never thought that I could have a life that was full of so much freedom and flexibility, but here I
Mhm.
am.
Yeah. And then do you think, I don't know, but do you think like wanting to be like a traveler and go places, like we can get into this, but like you and your husband were just gone for what, like 5 weeks, like somewhere with
Yes.
no internet? Do you do you think that was like that desire like played into like wanting to sell that practice and like, eventually, we haven't said this yet, but eventually you decided to retire from being a clinician altogether? I just wonder, like, if wanting that lifestyle played into that decision for you, or how did those two go together for you?
The selling of the practice was more because of my own burnout, and which
Yeah.
did play into the traveling though, because I was burnt out and that's why I sold it. But a couple months into, like, after it had already been sold, I went on a retreat in Costa Rica. And Kim, you might know a little bit about this retreat
I'm
too.
familiar with that retreat.
And at the time, I don't think I realized how life-changing it was for me, but I had just really taken a deep look at what I wanted my life to look at as part
Mhm.
of that retreat. And I came to the conclusion that it was like, I don't have to do things the way that I should or that people say we're supposed to. I can create my life to be whatever I want it to be.
Mm.
And I want a life where I get to travel and experience and not be held down by one-on-one sessions every week. That's not what I want to do anymore. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it all came together.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah. I just love that message, in the traveling therapist course and a lot of the freebies I have, that's what I talk about heavily. It's like, decide the life you want and then design the rest around it,
Yes.
like Gabby and I both have multiple income streams, because we don't want to do that one-to-one model anymore. I have 5 clients I see now, like kind of randomly. They're not every week, they're just like whenever they really need to see me, but that's perfect for me because it gives me so much space to like travel and create. And just like next week we're driving from Gulf Shores, Alabama, all the way to California over 7 days, and I'm not seeing anybody. Like I'm just not seeing anybody, and I'm still going to have
Hmm.
some income coming in from like all these other income streams that I've created, or because this is the life I want to live, like we're
Yes.
talking about, right?
Yes. And you can do it. And I consult with people all the time and therapists, and we just can be very narrow-minded, which is, I'm not shaming anybody for that. I'm just
Hmm.
saying that when you think that way, then that's what you'll have. But if you can shift your thinking and your mindset, you can have whatever you want, and your life can be however you want it to be.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's like part of the reason I did this podcast too, because somebody will say, like in the Facebook group, the traveling therapist Facebook group, like they'll even like say they can't leave their state and work outside of their state. And I'll say, yes, you can. Post regulations here and let's look at them. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people just read the regulations wrong. They think that that
Hmm.
means they have to sit in their state. And it's like, gosh, I'm so glad that you're like reaching out and getting new information so you can go live this life, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
Really.
It is possible for anybody. It really
Hmm.
is.
Hmm. Absolutely. So tell us about like your life traveling and like how you sort of incorporate your coaching and when you were a clinician, like your clients into that lifestyle when you were doing all that.
So when I first moved here, I was still seeing clients, and that was a shift, and I definitely learned a lot.
Hmm.
And I even learned a lot about from your Facebook group, because one thing that I really struggled with, and I've done a lot more work on this now, but I really struggled with the message that I would get from my clients, and especially just because of the population I worked with. I would get like a lot of like, oh, you are just living it up in Florida. And one of my clients said, you're eating bonbons by the pool and like not working anymore. And that really triggered me then. Now I can laugh about it, but I remember being so upset because I'm a people pleaser. I'm a recovering
because you
people
actually
pleaser.
were eating bonbons at the pool.
Yep, that's what I was doing. I'm like, actually, it's 8 o'clock at night here, and I'm doing a session because this is the only time that worked for you, which I
Yeah.
would
Oh my
never
gosh.
do now.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So true. Yep.
But I
Mhm.
worked through a lot of that and, still saw a
Yeah.
lot of clients here. And, I was licensed both in Florida and Colorado. And Colorado, you can be anywhere as long as your client's there.
Mhm.
So that was really helpful for me. And now I do things for work that I travel for. Like I do a lot of speaking engagements and go to a lot of conferences that I'm speaking at. So that's helpful. And, when we were in Costa Rica for the Thrive Summit in February, I was, doing consulting and coaching clients down there and working on making
Yes.
content. So I do things now that I can do them from anywhere, and it's part of my work too.
And we don't have to worry about licensing regulations,
Yes,
which is
that
so nice.
too.
Because it's so nerve-wracking. And the insurance companies, like this is a big thing going on right now. You probably have heard a ton about it, Gabby, but like Blue Cross Blue Shield is now telling
Yes.
people if they credential, they have to be a resident in the state that they're credentialing in, and they have
Yep.
to be living there, like physically located in the state, which is just
Yep.
like, it pisses me off. I'm like, who can I go to? I want to like start tweeting them, like, on Twitter, like
Hmm.
saying, are you trying to like kill your members or something,
Yes.
because it makes me so mad. It's like, how many people are going to have to go, at a network? Like that was posted in the Facebook group the other day. Somebody was like, I'm living in like Japan or something, and Blue Cross is telling me I have to be back in the state to see these people. I'm going to have to get off the panel and I'm going to have to see these clients at a network and give them a super bill. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Hey everyone, I wanted to break in here real quick and let you know about a company called Alma. As you may know, I have a variety of resources available to therapists who want to bill insurance in their private practice. I have a comprehensive membership to teach you how to bill on your own, but I also refer mental health practitioners to companies like Alma who can do your billing for you if you don't want to hire billers or do it on your own. If this sounds like the kind of support you need in your insurance-based private practice, consider joining Alma. Get the tools and support you need to manage and grow your private practice, accept insurances, and focus on what matters most, delivering high-quality care to your clients. I've shared my personal referral link in the show notes of this episode if you want to schedule an appointment and check them out. But all that to say, like, it helps, I think, in my case, to have diversified income streams and to be able to do
Yes.
coaching, in case all this stuff like blows up in our faces,
Because it
with the
might, and it's
telehealth. Yeah.
frustrating.
Hmm.
And I know
Absolutely.
in Colorado, I heard about that too. And they're in Colorado, it's Anthem, and they are very difficult to work with, and they're one of the lowest payers. And so many clinicians are leaving the network. And it's like, yes, we have that option, right? We can be out of network providers, or we could stop taking Blue Cross Blue Shield clients and have them private pay. But then there's the accessibility to care piece. But it's like, how much are we supposed to take on of this? You can only do so much.
Yeah, it's stressful. Yeah. And that's why, I feel grateful every day. Like when I get in my inbox, like you've made a sale or whatever, it's like, oh, thank God, it feels reassuring in a way, because it is a little nerve-wracking, especially right now with the like pandemic ending. A lot of the
Hmm.
things that have been allowed are going to end, and, who knows what the insurance companies are going to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, all that to say, like, I'm glad that you're doing coaching and I'm glad I'm doing coaching, and, putting that out to other traveling therapists. This is something to think about, particularly if you're in an insurance-based private practice, or just,
Hmm.
in a private practice where regulations could change in our states. You just don't know. So that's why, when I do these episodes, I try to focus some on the entrepreneurial side of like, what can you do to like scale up the one-to-many model instead of that one-to-one model, especially
Yes.
if you're like living in a country where you're 12 hours off in the time zone, like,
Hmm.
yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up for sure. So the speaking gigs, I love this. first of all, I know you weren't a huge fan of public speaking, but you've like really conquered it and you kick ass at it now. And I just wonder, like, when you're planning these conferences and stuff, like, do you then plan trips around them, or do you like look for speaking gigs for places you want to go? Like, how does that work for you? Like, how do you navigate that so you can travel too?
Yes, it is a big fear of mine that I conquered, first of all.
And everybody knows I hate it. I talk about it on here all the time. So
And I was the same way, and I don't
yeah.
even know why I decided to do this, but I think it was because I just want to share my message with more people, and I think
Hmm.
that it's valuable.
Yes.
And so I do a little bit of both things that you mentioned. I look at conferences and places that I want to go.
Hmm.
I'm laughing because our mutual friend Andrea had sent me one to apply to, and it was like in the middle
Oh.
of nowhere in Wisconsin, and it
Oh,
was in like
wow.
the winter, and I'm like, no, that's not for
No.
me.
This is not my kind of conference.
That is not where I want to speak at. So I do that. And then I also like I'm excited. I just got accepted to speak at one in Nashville or close to Nashville
Ooh.
in September. And so that'll be
Oh my
fun. And
gosh.
then I can stay longer and enjoy. And so that's usually what I do is I plan things kind of around it too, like next year for the Thrive Summit or really
Hmm.
retreat that Megan is doing. That's going to be on the Oregon coast, and I've never been there. And so, my husband and I were talking about like going up to Canada or going to Vancouver or doing
Nice.
more traveling surrounding that after the conference is over.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's on April 26th, 2024. That's my birthday.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay!
We had your birthday in Costa Rica. Well, Megan's birthday. Yeah, we'll have mine on the Oregon coast, I guess. That
Oh,
should be fun.
perfect.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's super exciting. So I'm trying to think, maybe some things you've learned along the way that could help new traveling therapists, like logistics wise or, mindset wise. I know you were it was the Cook Islands, right? Where you went for essentially, was it 5 weeks or it was 3 weeks up there? And then
It
how
was
long was it?
it was like almost 3 weeks there, and we got stuck there because there was a Cyclone Gabrielle,
Yes.
hitting New Zealand. And
Oh my
so
God.
we were like, it's not a bad place to be stuck, but it was stressful because there's not a lot of infrastructure in the Cook Islands. And so Wi-Fi is really expensive. You can't just hop onto a free Wi-Fi at a restaurant. Like that does not exist there.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to pay for it. And even like our phones, even if I would just do roaming, like I couldn't even connect to get service.
Oh my
So
gosh. I would die.
yeah, it would, I know you would have died.
I would die. Let
It
me
was
just say,
really good.
side note, you guys, I'm in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and the Wi-Fi here is terrible. I've just had the worst like month of my life with Wi-Fi. But anyway, don't want to get off Gabby's story here.
Well, it was giving me a lot of anxiety too, just leading up to it. And I guess I'm going kind of on a tangent here, but I do want to share this. But
Yeah.
yeah, because I was like, this is the first time I'm doing this in a long time. Like we've been
Yeah.
to the Cook Islands in the past, but my life looked different then.
Hmm.
And I was like, I haven't been totally off social media in
Yeah.
a long time. And it was really good for my mental health. It did
Hmm.
take me a while to kind of like wind down from that and like fight the urge to know what was happening. But once I
Hmm.
got through that, it was helpful. But it was stressful trying to figure out the flights because,
Oh yeah.
again, the Wi-Fi was super expensive and like we couldn't connect, and making a
Oh
phone
yeah.
call is like, we had to call a couple times from our room, and it was literally $65 for like a 10-minute phone
Oh my
call.
God. Are you
Yeah.
serious? That's because all your flights got canceled, right? Because of the typhoon. So you had to
Yes.
rebook things. Oh
So
my
it was
gosh.
cray cray because we were on Air New Zealand, and when all that happened, they were like, they wouldn't tell us one way or another at first if they were going to cancel our flight. And I'm like, well, the eye of the hurricane is going to be over Auckland, like right when we're supposed to land. So
Oh,
I'm assuming that you're canceling my flight, but they wouldn't do it for sure. And so we ended up booking on a different airline to leave earlier, just taking a chance. And we bought like a refundable ticket. And I'm glad we did because Air New Zealand said that the next flight out wasn't going to be for 8 more days. So
oh my gosh. Are you
we
serious?
and we did end up staying an extra 5 days, which was amazing. But
Hmm.
first world problems, I had to get to Costa Rica to speak at the Thrive Summit. So
Exactly. You had somewhere you needed to be.
I did. So I
Yeah.
had set a goal, last year after I sold my business. A lot of people aren't familiar with the process, but when you sell, you almost always have to stay on for the transition period.
Hmm.
And so I did that and I stayed on for a year. And I had set a goal that, like, I'm like restarting, not restarting, I'm opening a new chapter in my life. And, that whole thing ended. I'm no longer a therapist as of like December 31st, 2022.
Wow.
And I said, I think I just want to take off the entire month of February and just travel. And that's what we did.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How amazing is that? Yeah, and
Yes, it was amazing.
yeah, and I wanted to bring that up because it's like, you can plan for that stuff. We had somebody on here, I can't remember what episode it was, but she was like a sabbatical coach. Like she helps people like take sabbaticals in their life. So things like that are possible. You want to go to the Cook Islands for 3 weeks and have no internet, like budget for it, like make sure your clients have somebody else to see if they're like high risk, during that
Yeah.
time, or
Yep.
or just stop seeing clients altogether, like Gabby did. Just retire and then go to the Cook Islands.
Exactly. And I did work in Costa Rica, but the Cook Islands was totally being shut off from work for three
Wow.
weeks.
That's
So,
amazing. That's so amazing. But anybody can do that, even if you want to keep working with clients. I'm kind of kidding about that part, but you can make it work. There's
you
there's
can.
colleagues that can help you if your clients get into trouble, and like social media, with my name, Gabby, what we do with these income streams, we're always having to post on social media and like keep, engagement up and all that stuff. And I'm guessing, Gabby, you probably planned ahead of time and had some stuff ready to go while you were gone, or had somebody doing that for you. Is that how you manage that? Or
I am very lucky that one of my best friends is my social media manager,
mm-hmm.
and I pre-filmed a ton of content and she posted for me while I was gone. And that was something that I was worried about because I was really just putting everything into my new consulting business and kind of starting over. So I was like, this is not good timing. I'm just starting a new business and I should be taking time off. There I am with the shoulds.
Mm-hmm.
And she, on a day that I had Wi-Fi, it just happened to work out that way. She texted me and she was like, one of your videos is like taking off. And it had like,
Oh
when she
yeah.
texted me, it was like 13,000 views. And
Oh,
I didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, I filmed the content, but she's the one who posted it for me. So
oh, that is crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. And then it's like, we're so addicted to social media. If it were me, I'd want to be like watching it every like refresh, just to see what was going to happen with it going viral, because that's kind of exciting when that happens.
it is. I was like, oh my God. And it was exciting to me too, because that was showing me like I don't have to be tied to my phone and I don't have to be like in it constantly to see the
Hmm.
fruits of my labor.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's the dream. I hired a third person on my team to help me get everything basically like what they call evergreen. So like all this stuff, I spent a lot of time just like going back and forth between posting links and answering questions. And yeah, it's the dream to have like all of this stuff really run on autopilot, even when you're
Hmm.
off for 3 weeks and have no Wi-Fi. I
Yep.
mean, that's the dream. So that's, for those of you that are into this stuff, that's what I'm working on right now, is like, how can I automate all of this stuff? So I'm literally like, I don't even need to be involved in it if I want to take time off.
Exactly. That is the dream is like, I want to make money while I'm sleeping and I want things to
Mhm.
happen without me having to be tied down.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm excited. The next 3 months, I hired this person to help get like just massive automation systems in place. So this is going to be super exciting.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I haven't even told you this yet, Gabby, but we just booked a place in Punta Cana for a month, or not Punta Cana, Las Terranas in Dominican Republic for a month. And
Yes.
I don't know what the internet's going to be like, but my goal, that's in October. So my goal is going to be to have all this stuff automated so I don't even have to worry about whether I have good Wi-Fi or not.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Yes, 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 yes. So just saying all that to tell you guys too that, like Gabby was saying earlier, think outside of the box. There's ways to do this and not be tied down to like 40 clients a week or something,
Hmm.
and stuck into your brick and mortar if that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, you can, just like we've been talking about this entire time, like you can create your dream life. What do you want it to look like? Because you can totally make it happen.
Absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. So I think that's a good end note. But I do, Gabby, if you would you just tell everybody like all the stuff you do and how they could find you and work with you and all of that?
I do a lot of things. I am definitely multi-passionate.
Yeah, that's what they
So
call me. I think it's just ADD, but
I know,
yeah.
same. I think that's what the real word is for it. But I do consulting and coaching and training on burnout prevention. So that's usually what I'm speaking about at conferences, and I do trainings for that for group practices and other, companies as well that are not in the therapy industry. And I
Mhm.
kind of have a different take on it than what I usually see. I talk a lot about nervous system regulation,
Mhm.
and I love to incorporate sound healing with that. I'm also a sound healer,
Yes.
so I
And
do
just
that.
can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, yeah.
In Costa Rica, she brought her sound bowls with her and she actually did like a sound healing on me in my hotel room. It was just amazing. If you guys have never had this, she can do these virtually too.
Yes.
And she has a lot of different, like she brought some of her like instruments, I guess you would call them, or bowls or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
But I just loved it. Like that would be something I would do all the time, if like I had the time and all of that to do it. It was just so relaxing. I loved every minute of that. Uh,
I love sound healing because it is so relaxing and it is healing and you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is
mhm.
lay there. So yeah, that's something we can easily do virtually, and I kind of integrate that if you want with like intuitive readings as well. So I do that. I help therapists, and this is another thing I speak about at conferences too, and other entrepreneurs, help them start a group practice, scale a group practice, and then just in generally sell. So if you're interested in selling your business, even if you're not a therapist, I do consulting on how to do that and why you should be thinking about doing that now.
Mhm.
And finally, I also do consulting on Medicare. So I
Yes.
talked a lot about Medicare earlier, but I have trainings on Medicare. I did a documentation course with Kim last year that you can still buy. So
Mhm.
I think that covers all the bases.
Yeah, we'll link to all this stuff too, so you guys can reach out to her. But yeah, she's my go-to for Medicare. When I don't know the answer, I'm like, "Hey, Gabby, do you know what this is?" And she usually knows and helps me out with that. So she's an expert with that as well. Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. And, I will put everything in the show notes, her links, ways to get a hold of her, ways to schedule consultation appointments if you want to do that, ways to book her for speaking if you want to do that. And Gabby, thank you so much for coming and doing this and just being a great friend.
Oh, thank you.
You're
We have
welcome.
been through so many things together, and I'm just glad that I'm able to share all this info with all of your listeners.
Yes, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.